Hi, Anna. How's it going?
Good
Good. It's great to see you.
to see you too.
You look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as my grandma likes to say.
Thank you.
Are you having a good summer so far?
Yeah, it's been fun. Lots of trips and camps and all the things.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing you've done so far this summer?
Helping at a camp called Spring Hill. Being like a counselor and training there has been really,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Very cool. Oh, that's really neat because you get to probably feel like you're learning more about leadership and feeling like, you're doing good in the world and, rather than just being there and
Mhm.
just enjoying being at camp, you feel like, oh, I have purpose, I feel like is
Uh,
a good feeling, that it's like, oh, I'm helping and doing something important.
hmm What about you? What have you done this summer?
Oh, so we had a big cookout thing for 4th of July, which was a lot of fun that we hosted. And my brother in law graduated med school, so that was very exciting. So we got to visit with family for that and travel and celebrate that, huge accomplishment. We got to go down to Nashville to see my little sister. She got a house. So it was fun. I got to see my brother in law and her and their new house that they bought. It's her first house that she's owned. So very exciting.
That's
So yeah, a
fun.
lot of fun things too. So great. Alrighty. So how's your voice feeling this week?
Pretty good. I definitely want to figure out the belting thing because I'm trying to figure out if that I feel like if that was I've been scared to do that in
Yeah.
that way or if that's actually the wrong way and I've been doing it closer to the right way when I was the way that I kind of used to belt Heart of Stone.
Yeah.
But
So I
just
had a couple of questions. I listened to them and I had a couple questions there. So when you're doing it, either way, so um, how does it feel different for each of those? So you sent me the 11-second and the 18-second. So how does it feel when you do each of those? Um,
well, one of them is like chest voice. It feels like chest voice, which I know we were talking about, but I feel
right.
like it sounds really bad. Like I can't
Oh,
tell how it sounds because it's like hard to tell like how you sound when because you can't really like
right.
hear yourself the way other people do, and recordings kind of mess it up a little bit without editing recordings. So
Right,
like
that it's like yeah, you're
I
not
don't know.
sure exactly what it
Yeah.
does sound like. Yeah.
But like that and then the other one feels more mixed voice slash closer to like up
Right.
here. And also when I used to, before I started taking voice lessons and before I started getting really into singing, I loved to sing, but I like did not know how to sing correctly. And so I thought I sounded really good, but I really sounded way too pushy and like was way
Mm,
too fake. And so I'm almost scared of like getting back to that almost when I was little. And so that's why I'm scared to do the belting, but I don't know if that's real belting or if what I was doing with Heart of Stone before I started trying that was real belting. But I really want to
right.
master my belt because I really want to go for the lead in the musical and just get better at musical theater music in general.
Yeah. Yeah. So I listened to both of them and I wanted to know how they were feeling because they do sound pretty different from each other. And also they so to me, one sounds a little bit like more pushed, and then the other sounds a little bit more mixy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like too, if you listen, you can hear on the one that's more belty, which was the 11-second one. Not necessarily belty, but it sounds like you were saying more chest voice, and like it's almost like a full chest voice there is what it sounds like to me. So it sounded too like the pitch, it's hard to sustain and like stay on a single pitch. Um so to me it sounded like that one probably is a little too pressurized. Um and probably a little too much of that chest voice muscle, whereas the other is better in tune, sounds very sustainable, but to me it sounds like it's a little bit too light of a pressurized feeling in the throat. So probably a little bit more head voice than we want. So ideally we're going to find something that's kind of right in between the two.
Hmm. That makes sense.
When you do the first one, does it feel painful to you?
When I'm doing like the chest voice,
Mm-hmm.
it's really tiring. Like it's
Yeah.
very fatiguing and it kind of hurts, like in a
Yeah.
way.
Right. Yeah. It so fatiguing and like effortful, I would say is pretty normal and okay, but when it's actually painful, that's where we go, okay, so I need to adjust this. To me, it sounded over pressurized and like you were saying, not really totally sustainable. You know, if you have rehearsals every day and then you're trying to perform it on the weekend multiple times and stuff, like you're just gonna be like, oof, I don't have a voice, you know?
Yeah.
So we look at sustainability. So I actually was working with another student, Brock, a lot with this kind of concept earlier this week, which is that idea of how much pressurization of that air do I need? And I would say for those notes, we want to be somewhere between the two recordings you sent because if we're in that like straight up mixy kind of feeling, the second recording you sent me sounds like a really balanced mix with a little more volume. So, really nice mix with a little bit louder volume. And then the first recording you sent sounded like I'm just using like full on chest voice hollering, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of needs to be somewhere in between for that ideal. And that just takes some finesse. The muscles have to learn to work together
Hmm.
because at that point we do need a little bit of the head voice engaging, but we need a little bit more pressurization of the airflow in the vocal folds than what I was hearing in that uh, recording where it was like full on chest voice. So I'm sorry, I said that opposite. Less pressure than the full on chest voice, more pressure than the balanced mix. Because it was too, I felt like a little more of a heady mix there. Could you kind of, does that make sense? Kind of based on what you were feeling and hearing there? I know with
Hmm.
the recording too, it's like not the best quality, so it can be a little tricky to like listen back to yourself, like you were saying, if it's just like on your cell phone or whatnot. Um, yeah, so the main thing I wanted to check was with the one that's the full on chest voice, if that felt painful at all, because my assumption was that it probably did feel a little bit painful. And the second question is, does it feel sustainable? Does it feel like something that you can have endurance and keep doing for multiple shows in a single week, you know?
Yeah,
Like a
probably
Friday, Saturday,
not.
Sunday. And if you're like, I feel like after Friday my voice would be toast, you know, burnt toast, then it's like, I feel like probably that's not sustainable. But like you were saying before too, you know, you were like, I'm not quite sure, you know, what I'm going for. So what we do, you're on the right track with the mix. So what we want to do first off is with the piece go, can I sing these melodies and patterns and can I get my voice knowing how to move through there, right? How does my breath need to work? How do I vibrate at those speeds to get the right pitch and whatnot, and in that pattern, right? So we've got that. And then when I'm trying to learn to belt, I say, okay, can I get a really efficient mix through here first? And you've got that too. So you're definitely on the right track. So now we're going, okay, there's something a little bit missing here, right? Which is that full on belt equality. So the next thing we're going to be thinking about is, do I have things like, is it more straight tone? Can I add more volume in a sustainable way? Can it be louder in a sustainable way? Can I add some of that really bright, brassy quality that we expect to hear in a musical theater belt, right? So we start layering in these other things, but you're already doing the bulk of it. So it's like the cake is there, and now we just need to like add some frosting and sprinkles, right? So
Yeah.
you're definitely on the right track with that. Um, and the coordination is a little bit tricky. So that's why you were like, I don't know what to do because I feel like, this one's probably too light feeling, right? Like too light of a pressure, and then the other is too heavy of a pressure. And, this one feels unsustainable, but this one doesn't quite have the like bite to it that we need, right? So yeah, we're going for somewhere kind of in between those two. So you're definitely on the right track, and I was really happy that you were asking those questions. I didn't feel like either of them sounded like, oh, you're going to hurt yourself doing it. But
Yeah.
I agree with you that the first one, that was like the more chesty one, isn't totally sustainable. But also, I would say it was so overpressurized that it was like you couldn't quite get like control of it either. Could you kind of like sense that and feel that, where it was like the intonation wasn't quite there? Um, like your pitch kind of wobbled a bit as you were sustaining and
The more
whatnot.
like I
So
went higher notes, I was like, I cannot hit these, but normally I'm pretty good at hitting pitches. But when I did it that way, I was like, I cannot hit notes at all.
right, exactly. Yeah. So your voice was saying like, "Hey, this doesn't really quite work," right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was glad that you were exploring those things, but there wasn't anything I was like worried about or like, "Oh, I think you're going to hurt yourself doing." So I was like, I think we're fine. But yeah, I think too, part of the intonation issues, because like you did hit the note, it just was like dipping above and below,
Hmm.
like going sharp and flat. Because I think your vocal folds were trying to figure it out. Like they were like, I don't like this. So they were like trying other things. And so that's why we didn't have just like a steady consistency with it, because the vocal folds were saying like this feels not quite right and we're trying to adjust and figure it out. So yeah, so your body was being smart and trying to figure it out. Yeah. So um yeah, so that's why I was like, I feel like I was like, you're not gonna hurt yourself, but just like a couple reflective things. And then so today we're gonna take starting from the more mixy place, and then we're gonna tweak. Instead of starting from that like overpressurized, too heavy, too chest voice place, we're gonna start from the balanced mix, and then we're gonna adjust it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So did you sing before we started today, or are we just getting started?
Just getting started.
Alrighty, sounds good. Okay, so we got to get the voice, you know, in the zone.
Hmm.
All right, so I'm going to focus on kind of going for the sound that we want for this song. All right, so let's do. First off, let's start with me, and we're going to hold it out. All right, so breathing in. Me. All right, we're going to go up. Me. All right, good. So now we're going to try stretching out the vocal folds. Let's do a whoop.
Ooh.
Yes, good again. Whoop. Yep, and then we're going to go high to low. So one. Woohoo! Yes, good. And one more. Woohoo! Great. All right, so next let's try sustaining, this time on a warmer vowel. We just did a very bright forward vowel, so now it's going to be a warmer, more back vowel. But let's still strive for clarity. All right, so efficiency, clarity, balance. All right, on mo now, sustaining. Mo. 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 Good. And then up again. Mo. 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 Yes, good. Mo. Mo. Couple more. Mo. One more. Mo. Awesome. All right, good. So let's do now. We're gonna try a sigh down into the vocal fry. So ah. Excellent. Beautiful. All right. So then let's try. All right, we're gonna slide. And let's do this. Let's start a little bit higher for now. And let's do on C. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's do the V consonant. So it'll just be that. Breathing in. Great. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to slide down from there. Very nice. Good. All right. So let's try now. We're going to do on the E. And let's go ahead and slide. And we're going to slide through E up to A. So we're going to go E. So first off, let's try. We're going to try for a nice balanced mixy kind of sound, okay? 1, 2, breathing in. E. 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 All right, so if we go any higher, we have to start changing our vowels, doing vowel modification. Let's go ahead and slide down. Nice, very good. Awesome. All right, so then let's try. Okay, so let's try some skips and leaps as well. So let's do on me, 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 still more balanced and more mixy here. Breathing in. Me, me, me. 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 Awesome. Good. All right. So then let's go ahead and we're going to slide back down. Wonderful. Good. All right. So we're going to try adding in volume. So we're going to try going through and we're going to sustain, start soft, and then grow in volume. So let's try on E. We're going to go E. And you're going to grow in volume as you sustain, okay? Breathing in. E. 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 Good, awesome. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start louder and we're going to go softer as we sustain. So on E, we're going to back off and get softer. Breathing in. E. E. Good, yes. So you can feel the differences there and how we grow and change that. When we're softer, it's like clapping your hands really close together. As we get louder and louder, the vocal folds get farther away from each other and have a sharp, quick pressurization of that air. Yeah, so it adjusts and changes. All right, so then we're going to try more straight tone and more vibrato, playing with that and being able to control that for yourself more. All right, so let's just sustain again, working on that vibrato. So we're going to start with more vibrato, and let's do no. So we'll go no. So we're starting more vibrato and we're going to back off and have less vibrato. Breathing in. No. 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 Good. All right. So now we're going to start more straight tone, then add in vibrato. No. 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 Good. Great. Okay, so adding volume, adding vibrato, those are entirely different coordinations. All right. So being able to separate those can be really, really helpful and kind of identify what those feel like. So when you are softer and louder, what does it feel like to you?
Um, Softer, I like naturally want to go towards head voice, and louder, it's easier to just like go towards what I right now have as belting.
Hmm. Yeah, good. And then what about more or less vibrato?
Um, about the same thing, like when it's louder, it feels like we were doing the crescendoing thing, but focusing more on vibrato again because like it felt like when we would crescendo when we did more vibrato and like take a crescendo when we would do less vibrato and go straight.
Yes. Okay, good. So it's really important that you not only know how I might describe it, but that you understand how you feel it, how you would, teach it to somebody else, because that's going to help you then to really lock that in and remember and be able to do it again later. So excellent. Very good. All right. So then let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at our song and let's sing through one time with a really nice balanced mixy feeling. So in your vocal folds, it's going to feel very efficient, balanced, sustainable. It's going to feel um, like you've got a nice clear tone throughout all the time. All right, so let's try with that nice balanced mix, but let's go for less vibrato, a more minimal vibrato. Can we try that?
Yeah.
All right, great.
I can pull up the karaoke really
Yeah,
quick.
let's have you pull it up on your side. That way, if there's any lag, it'll be for me, not for you.
Yeah. When heart it changes, a restless tide, untamable. Come to you, lift me high. Your hand from his side with so many place you gone away. There's something inside it's solidified, and I know that I'll always stay. You can tear me down, you can try my heart. You can do this, but I'll stand the test. You'll find that I'm so years go and when the test comes, when I'm strong, you'll still the heart of storm. Say we're perfect, a perfect family. You hold us close. Say you're the only one I've ever wrote. I need those words, truly falling. But I know without my son, your love could disappear. No, it isn't fair without you to care. 'Cause my love will still be there. You can always be loved. Heart of stone. Never see him grow. I hope my son, he'll never be alone. It's like a it's right and leaves and scars behind. Oh, be by yours. It's my love. Sad and sweet. Yeah. Years by we tell waters run, you still find stone.
Awesome. Good. Okay, so what feels good about that?
I think the brightness, I definitely like kind of let myself sound really young in order to get the perfect like on tone pitch because I naturally sound young when I'm doing perfect like pure Broadway kind of sound. Um, but I think pretty good. It was a lot harder than I thought to not do vibrato. Like I kept doing it. I was like, oh, I like it's hard to control. I feel like once you
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the more straight tone is going to be more moving towards the style that we want here. Yeah,
Mhm.
good. All right, so we're going to try it again. And this time I want you to play with um, when you want it to sound more belty, you're going to try to do that minimal vibrato. You're going to try to have a bigger volume. So
Mhm.
louder. And remember, how do we make it louder? It's not by using exclusively chest voice, it's by having the vocal folds separate more so that they can have a sharp, quick pressure of that air
Mhm.
as it passes through. So you will feel it's a little more effortful in here, but it shouldn't feel like your chest voice is on its own, like that chest voice muscle. It still should have the support of that front to back muscle. So start from a nice balanced mix and then more straight tone and then add volume to it. And that's going to help a lot. Also, the bright quality um, is something that we want here. And I would say you can add a little bit more cry to the sound, like a like kind of a whiny kind of quality as well. And then remember too, we want really, really good diction, like over exaggerated diction here.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I know that that's a lot. If I was going to narrow it down for this time through, I would think more straight tone. And then in those places where I want it to sound more belty, focus on adding volume.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
great.
would change it. Your restless tide tame. Unto you lift me high, will be. Your hand promise I would stand any place you go away. There's something inside, it's so hard to find. Like you always stay. You can build me up, you can tear me down, you can try, but I'm you can do your best, but I stand my test. You'll find that I'm unshaken. When you're exposed, when the wind has blown, when your heart is dry, you'll still find my heart of stone. You say we're perfect, perfect family. You hold us close for the world to see. When I say you're the only one I ever want, I mean those words true, but falling. I know without my son, your love could disappear. And though it isn't fair, but I don't care, 'cause my love will still be here. You me down and run high. You can do your best, but I'll stand my best. You'll find that like it was bad. The winds have blown, the water's dry, you'll still find my heart of stone. See, he'll never be alone. It's like a river runs strong and leaves and stars behind. I'll be by your side. It's my life. It's sad and yeah. You can hear me down. You can do this, but it's not fires burnt with time. Water's troubled, you still find.
Awesome. Okay, so how did that feel different? What changed?
It felt like more belty. I couldn't tell if it sounded good or not, but it felt more belty. And like
Okay.
consistent, like with the straight tone, like and the more volume, the like more out there instead of in here it sounded.
Okay. So so feeling wise, what did you like about it? And sound wise, what did you like about it?
Feeling, it felt like I was pushing hard, but it didn't feel painful. Like, I mean, but it took a lot of breath, but that's just because I haven't like been belting as much and like my breath just needs to get used to it. But like it was like a good kind of working hard. And so that was kind of good because it was like I felt like I was working hard, but it didn't feel painful. Just like it was
Good.
doing a workout. Um,
Well, that's positive. That's good. Yeah. So the thing is, when you're trying to develop the belt, we give ourselves limits. We're like, okay, I'm not gonna go beyond where this feels sustainable. I'm not gonna push myself to go farther than where it feels like I can do this in a healthy way, right? So
yeah.
that's something I want you to keep in mind. Give yourself those kind of limits and check in with yourself. So then we also can have a more bright um, quality to it. That's going to make it sound more like this Broadway belty sound. So
Mhm.
you can focus on things like, is my tongue more forward in my mouth? Pushing the back of the tongue more forward. Yeah. You can even practice like take a paper towel and wrap it around your tongue and like hold and kind of tug on it a little bit. Ah, and sing on that ah throughout with the tongue really forward as an exercise. And that way, then when you add back in, it's like, oh, okay. So, the words, it's like, oh, all right. So this is how that should feel and what I need to do with that. Um, so keeping those kind of things in mind. Um,
Is
the
that
brightness. And then also think about the palette instead of lifting this way back here, that little notch at the front of the soft palette. So right behind the hard palette, that kind of scoop up, lifting more forward into that is going to give you more of the sound that you're wanting.
Mhm. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Makes sense. Does that help with like does doing like the things with the soft palate and keeping your tongue forward help with sounding bright while also like sounding mature? Because like I want to sound young and I know that Dorothy sounds very young, so that'll be very helpful.
Yeah.
But like I know that the lady in Heart of Stone also sounds like he's older and he's like an adult. So would those things help like with sounding bright while also sounding mature? Because that's what I really struggle with. Because I can
Yeah.
sound kind of well, but I can sound like a little kid if I try to be bright like that. So
Hmm.
it's hard.
Yeah. So I would say be patient with yourself. This character, another thing is thinking about, comparing to another person's voice. Your voice may be a different instrument, but also that person who plays this character is much older than you are, right?
That's
Um,
true.
and um, if we think about the actual age of the person, um, she was quite a bit older than you. She would have been in her 20s when she married Henry. So, she would have been older than you are right now. So, if you're playing a character like Leah Michelle's character in Spring Awakening, then you are the right age, like that you're like, I am this person, right? So, but also keep in mind that your instrument is your own and it's going to grow and change at its own pace. I sound very different than I did when I was your age. And so that's part of life. Um, I would focus on doing the Broadway techniques in a healthy, sustainable way. Because if you push yourself to sound like older than you are now, you have the potential to do something that's going to have long-term effects. Miley Cyrus is an example of someone. It's kind of like a voice horror story where she was very young and was performing all the time and touring all the time and just pushing her voice crazy hard. And now she has a condition where essentially her vocal folds are kind of like leathery now, and it's not something that they can do anything about. Essentially, her voice is kind of like the equivalent of a voice of like an elderly person, and there's not really anything that they can do to change that. It's just like a condition she has now. So her voice was permanently damaged and changed because she was pushing herself to sound, a certain way and pushing herself to sing way too much and just wearing her body out. And so, there are usually things are fixable, right? But in her case, her voice and body were still growing and developing. And now her voice is permanently injured, basically, forevermore. And she, still chooses to sing, but that's got to be a really painful experience. And so, and she does sing, and now her voice does sound, very mature and older and whatnot, but it's like it's got to be disappointing for her to be like, oh, I'll never be able to do XYZ with my voice. Like, this is where it is, this is what it can do. And so we don't ever want to push ourselves. The thing is, people in the industry will, if they're making money off of you, they don't care, unfortunately. Like, they're like, do the thing, make us money, do the show. And then if you, after the show and your contract are over, get vocal injuries and like struggle, they don't care. They'll hire someone else. And so you have to be very protective of yourself and go, all right, like, this is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is where my voice is at right now, and be very protective of it, because your voice is something you can have and use for your entire life, and there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to. And if anybody pushes you beyond what's sustainable, you have to go, I'm gonna do what feels right to me, and like, go to a lesson, figure things out. I've had professional jobs where I, got really frustrated and was like, I don't know how to do what they're asking for, and had to go to my teachers and be like, here's what they said, here's what happened in the rehearsal. And my teachers, worked with me and were like, okay, like, here's what they want, and here's what you should do with this. This conductor is not a vocalist, they're a pianist, they're not a singer, they don't know what you need to do for your voice, and in the end, I did a great job, and I did things that I was really proud of, and people in the audience enjoyed it and told me as much, and I did not listen to the particular conductor I'm thinking of, because I was just like, not breathing for 2.5 pages is not possible, for one thing, sir. I didn't say that to him, but I went to my teacher and was like crying. I was like, what do I do? And we figured it out, but she was like, he doesn't even play a wind instrument. He doesn't play a clarinet or a trumpet. He plays a piano, She was like, he doesn't have to worry about breathing, So she was just like, yeah, don't listen to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's rough.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to just be like, I'm going to do what's right for me, and I'll do the job the best of my ability. But yeah, when you are listening to somebody else and trying to emulate them, you can do things that will, not always be injurious, but sometimes it just changes the sound of your voice in ways that are not really what we want anyway. Like Renee Fleming, when she went and studied in Germany, she came back and everybody was like, what happened to your voice? Like, huh? Like, because she was only singing art songs. And so she came back and was trying to do opera, and people were like, something's wrong with your sound. Like, what happened? And so she was just doing like very different techniques. And then it was like her, skills from before that she had in this other genre were sort of like funky, and she had to sort of relearn how to do that again. And then, I could think of lots of different people. So you have to trust your instincts, trust your body and what it's telling you, and do what you need. For this style, we're going to do the things we worked on today. You're also going to add the brightness. And don't worry about being like, oh, I sound young. You are young. You are young. You're supposed to sound young. And so I sometimes question when I hear like little kids sounding, like a 30-year-old on these shows. I'm like,
Like,
what are they going to sound like in 10 years from now, Because I'm not their teacher. I don't work with them. I'm not their laryngologist or their SLP or anything. But I do question. I'm like, should they be singing like that right now? I'm not sure. I'd have to work with them a little bit to figure that out. Um, so trusting your body because it's your best friend in the realm of singing, and we're gonna try to get that bright quality. So bringing that tongue forward, kind of tight behind the nose, more wide and spread, a ton of diction. So when you feel like you're doing enough, go even more. You can fill me up. You can tear me down. You're going to feel like really over exaggerated, but it's going to work for the style. It's what we want. Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing I would encourage you to do is find belters that are younger who have maybe like a voice type more similar to yours. So listen to people like Leah Michelle in Spring Awakening. She is young. She trained for that role from 14 to 18. They were workshopping it and she was preparing to perform that role and she opened it at 18. So she was young playing this role and her character is young. Her character is like young teens, maybe like 14, 15, in a young teen area. So listen to things like that. Listen to things that you go, okay, this is more what I'm looking for, right? Um, and you also can listen to singers who are older but who maybe have a lighter voice. So like Leah Salonga is a great person to listen to. She has a very clear, bright sound. She played Kim in Miss Saigon. She was Eponine, and she's played Fantine in Les Mis. So that could be somebody who would be great to listen to. Leah Salonga is her name. Another that might be a really good person to listen to would be Katie Rose Clark. Um, she has a really healthy speech mix and she just like effortlessly navigates through her voice. She's played Glinda in Wicked. She's played Clara in Light in the Piazza. And if somebody can play Clara and Light in the Piazza well, I mean, that's phenomenal technique. And she's a great example of a lighter voice doing a belt and having vocal power at the same time. So her name is Katie Rose Clark. Um, Another person that you could look at is this would be a very different character, but Taylor Louderman in Regina George and Mean Girls. She she can have like a lighter but very impactful vocal quality. So Taylor Louderman is another that I would take a look at. Um, and I mean, there are so many others as well, and you think about people like classic belters like Patti LuPone, Ethel Merman. Um, but I think especially with the influence of like rock and pop, now that like and also the like higher extension of belt now going into like E5 F5, um it requires that we incorporate a lighter, more agility belt, more agile belt. So I feel like listening to some other people to get that more um like today sound, I think is going to be a really really good way to approach that. So start listening to some other people to get just in your mind some other sounds. And keep in mind too that everyone has different voices, and it's okay if your voice is not, fully grown yet. Most female vocalists are not going to reach their like full voice until mid 30s at least. I have a friend who she did not get hired for a single professional role until her like mid to late 40s. I think she was 46, and now she's like a world renowned performer. So,
Yeah.
you just never know. And some singers, their voice doesn't fully mature until like mid 40s. So trust that you're where you need to be right now, and play roles like Dorothy, play roles that are gonna be right up your alley. But yeah, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning Heart of Stone. I think some people would be like, oh, this is an older character and more maturity is needed to play this character or whatever. But I'm like, I feel like emotions are something anyone can explore, and just because maybe you haven't been a mom yet, that kind of thing. I'm like, you can still learn the song, especially if you love it and it speaks to you and it resonates with you. Why not? Um, but yeah, I would challenge you to find some other belters as well that have a lighter voice, but then they're belters, because I think that's gonna, you're gonna give yourself a bigger worldview of the belters, right? There are all kinds of different voices doing belt. And so going, okay, just because I don't sound like this person, that's okay. Maybe I sound more like this person, right? And that person is a fantastic belter, right? So you go listen to Leah Salonga and you'll be like, oh, okay, so maybe I should be trying to sound more like that, maybe, right? Where you're not mm, putting yourself under this pressure to like push your voice to do something it's maybe not ready for, or it's just a different voice type, so it's not really supposed to sound like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so broadening that perspective a bit this week. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So I think you have some good techniques to be working on. Play with those this week. Go ahead and feel free to send me recordings. I'm happy to listen to them. If I hear anything like concerning, or like where I'm like, oh, I feel like this is, dipping your toes into the danger zone, I'll tell you for sure. Um,
Thank
but
you.
yeah, I definitely thought, I was like, okay, we're on the right track with the more balanced mixy one. We just need to layer in now some of those more belty qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
as your mix gets stronger and your voice is very confident and self assured in the mix, you can ask it for more of that belty quality. Yeah. But I feel
Yep.
like you're in a place now where you have a pretty solid mix. Like that you're moving through it beautifully, and it's very sustainable and clear and clean. So I'm like, there's no reason at this point that we can't be adding in the belty quality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome work today, Anna.
So much.
Absolutely. Alrighty, well, I will see you soon. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.